Subconsciously, the use of music will provoke an emotional response within us, and that works differently for everyone. The examples in this video might work for one person, but not for another, and that's okay. Side note, I will be saying music to refer to both score and songs. The score is composed for a specific piece of media, like this current background track, while a song is a pre-existing music piece you can acquire the rights for, like here in Baby Driver. I'm gonna jump straight into an example of a score invoking emotions, and it's gonna be a scene from Avengers Endgame.
Is that everyone? What, you wanted more?
Prior to Endgame's release, Marvel had many years building up to Infinity War, where the heroes finally lose on a grand scale, leading to the emotional frailty of those invested in the cinematic universe. You leave an audience tethering on this feeling for a year, so how do you have an emotional payoff? Well, you drag them lower. Maybe a bit more. The audience is set up in this new equilibrium, where emotions are running high, escalating to the crisis faced, before reaching the climax where the Russo brothers, Marvel, and everyone involved carve themselves a place in cinematic history. The camera glides through the scene, and every fan is able to comprehend the payoff for years of hard work. But in the end, Silvestri massively blends hope and triumph in a single gut punch of the portal scene in what I want to say is a G major key. Horns blare before becoming uniform, allowing the strings to help carry the weight of the scene. Every time you think the crescendo has been reached, a new character reappears, and the note soars a step higher when you think it can. Silvestri's score now validates the emotional reactions of the audience, as he guides them with only music as if they were controlled like puppets on a string. And after the culmination of 10 years and 21 films, hope was created as quickly as it had been lost. Music can also be used to add depth to characters, whether it be through music theory applied to a character's theme, or by the use of genre and instruments that are used as signifiers. We'll start off by looking at character depth.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
The Dark Knight is considered one of the best cinematic adaptations for comic books, with major credit being given to the late Heath Ledger's reinvention of one of comic books' most iconic villains, but credit must also be given to Hans Zimmer, who composed the Joker's theme, Why So Serious, that is heard throughout the film.
So, I stick a razor in my mouth and do this to myself. And you know what? She can't stand the sight of me. She leaves. Now I see the funny side. Now I'm always smiling. A little fight in you. I like that.
This assault on harmony plays right into the character of an unhinged man who has nothing left to lose, as the dissonance created by Zimmer connotes uncertainty and disharmony, which creates a feeling of uneasiness for the viewers as the notes bend upwards a half step from a D to a D sharp, and finally to an E. With the notes reaching a piercing crescendo, it morphs as Vasco Hexel notes that to add more dissonance, the strings are instructed to play stabs with the brass on any note, creating a sense of disorientation as there is no linear flow to the score. In regards to the creation of the score, Zimmer says that he was just playing with the idea of what happens if you never release tension, and if there is such thing as infinite tension. It's the idea of a bow or steel cable being pulled and figuring out when it'll snap, but he's not going to tell you when it'll snap, and it will never snap. One of the other more pronounced ways music can also be used to add character is to allude to their identity, be it through the character's heritage or surroundings. Zimmer yet again shows his creativity in DreamWorks' Kung Fu Panda, using traditional Chinese instruments such as the erhu and the Chinese zither to pay homage to the culture.
My time has come. You must continue your journey without me.
What are you? What? Master! You can't leave me!
You must believe.
Master!
This is also a great way for composers to collaborate and network. Zimmer says that the great thing about being in music is it's happened to him time and time again, where he gets to work with people from different cultures. It also allows for the opportunity of new experiences for composers, as it allows them to participate in different cultures and trade knowledge. Ludwig Göransson has had a lot of experience with different cultures, as he's travelled around many villages in West and South Africa, cultivating experiences from local musicians for many months. Göransson traversed a musical world that was not his own to learn what he could in the hope of honouring their traditions in Black Panther.
And one of my friends produced an album with an African artist. His name is Baba Mal. I called him and I was like, hey, my name is Ludwig Göransson. I'm a film composer and I'm about to score a movie called Black Panther. It's about a black superhero in a fictional country in Africa. Would you have any time for me to come out and meet you or record you or anything? And he was like, yeah, sure. Just I'm about to go on tour. You can come join my tour.
Ludwig Göransson is a Swedish composer and producer who has a foot on both sides of the music industry. On the one hand, he is a long-time collaborator and friend of Donald Glover, having produced all 4 of his albums, as well as working with Haim, Chance the Rapper, Alicia Keys, and Travis Scott. On the other hand, he is also a talented composer, having composed the score for productions like Creed, Atlanta, Black Panther, and his most popular one so far, Mandalorian. Göransson speaks of how Ennio Morricone influenced his composition for The Mandalorian outside of John Williams, seeing the similarities between The Mandalorian and spaghetti westerns, with the show's main theme being likened to the good, the bad and the ugly. It was Morricone's score for the humanoid that helped think about the Star Wars music from a new perspective. Göransson spoke of how it's awesome. It's like these weird 70s synthesizers, and he found a way to combine that with a disco orchestra, making it sound almost European and a bit Japanese. Armed with the inspiration of the traditional space opera of John Williams, and Morricone's rare sci-fi inspired synth blend of European, Japanese and Westerns, Göransson saw Star Wars music in a new light. Only in his mid-30s, he already has an Oscar and multiple Grammys, and surely has a bright future ahead of him.
And the Oscar goes to...
Ludwig Göransson.
Black Panther.